Okay, grade 5, chapter 6, Sport of Noses. My breakfast dishes pile up on my tray. My parents snore in chairs. My head aches under the bandage. It's great to spend time in the hospital. So glamorous. And I have to go to the bathroom again. What does Mavourneen mean anyway? I ask Norbert. I meant to ask at the time, but I forgot. Norbert sniffs like he's clearing his throat.
It means my darling in Gaelic.
What did you call Mrs. Grunwald my darling?
I thought she'd like it, and she did too. She was still talking about it when we went to dinner last week. She made corned beef and cabbage specially. Ah, what a smell.
I remember, I said with a shudder. Cabbage is not my favorite food. I bet I'm not alone on that either. I noticed that no one has come up with a cabbage-flavored potato chip.
Say, what are you doing? You're getting up out of bed? You're not supposed to get up, are you? Rest quietly, the doctor said.
I have to go to the bathroom, I say.
Do you want me to call that nice nurse? Or wake your parents? They could help you.
I don't need any help, I say, though the room seems to be spinning very slowly in clockwise circles, so I lift myself off the bed. Funny, last time I got up, the room was spinning counterclockwise. Soccer balls spin that way when you kick them with your left foot, or do I mean your right foot? Miranda would know.
Do you remember the soccer game against the bullies?
Norbert asks. Funny, I was just thinking about soccer. Sometimes it seems like Norbert is listening to my mind. The two of us are getting really quite close.
The one where I scored the winning goal?
You did not score the winning goal.
Yes, I did.
Did not?
Did too.
Like I said, we were getting quite close. Norbert and I. We agree on everything. The hospital bathroom is small and clean and brilliantly white. Everywhere I look, I see reflections of the overhead light. Makes my headache even worse. The intramural soccer final took place during a dark and yucky lunch hour in November. A crowded, noisy schoolyard, kids chasing each other and falling down, a couple of bored teachers ignoring everything. The day was cold and wet and gray. November. I was standing on the sidelines in the grass field, severely underdressed in short pants and a short-sleeved shirt. I had long socks on, but they kept falling down, and I kept pulling them up, and then, of course, they would just fall down again. I wore cleated shoes, which I hate. You're supposed to be able to stop and turn in cleats. All I do is fall down suddenly. For a variety of reasons, but mostly because Miranda asked me to, I was part of the class soccer team, the Commodores, Miss Gailey called us. She takes intramural sports very seriously. Apparently, the Commodores were a music group in her childhood. Good thing she didn't like classical music, or we'd be the 7A Philharmonics or something. The game was about to start. Across the field, our opponents were gathering, the Cougars. 5 of them, like us, intramural rules. It's more like hockey than soccer, really. We don't have a very big field. With 11 people on a side, there wouldn't be enough room for the referee and for the ball. Miranda called us into a pre-game huddle. Remember what we talked about, she told us. Don't let the Cougars rattle you. Get the ball down the field fast. Don't dribble it, pass it. She talked some more, but I didn't pay attention. Soccer is not my favorite game. I didn't care about tactics or strategy, or about getting the ball down the field or dribbling. I thought dribbling was in basketball anyway. And little babies. I didn't know it was soccer. Even if I love soccer, I wouldn't want to play against the Cougars. They didn't have a pre-game ritual. They just piled their leather jackets into a big heap, spat out their gum, and stood around punching each other. Miss Gailey was walking up and down the sidelines wearing a jacket with Commodores on the back. Mr. Taylor taught 7L the Cougars, but he didn't show up for intramurals. I think he enjoyed the time away from his class. You'd think that a group of bullies wouldn't bother with intramural sports. Why play soccer when they could be playing with knives and matches? It was Prudence's idea to ruin intramurals for everyone else. Poor Mr. Taylor. His hair is a lot grayer than it was at the start of the year. The Cougars had beaten every other team. Now it was our turn. "Let's go, people," said the gym teacher, Mr. Stern. He blew his whistle. Miranda trotted up to the center circle. So did Mary the bully, and Larry the bully, and Gary the bully. "Come on, guys," Miranda called over her shoulder to her cowering teammates, me among them. "You know the rules," said Mr. Stern around his whistle. "Before they let you become a gym teacher, you have to be able to talk with a whistle in your mouth. There'll be 2 15-minute halves plus penalty time at the end. Rough play will be penalized very severely." He looked at the bullies as he said this. "Last game, they broke Andrew's wrist, all by accident," they said afterward. "Gosh, we're really sorry." But I had asked Andrew the next day, and he said Mary had done it deliberately, tripped him, and then jumped on his arm. "Is that understood?" Mr. Stern looked at Mary the bully. She nodded coolly and blew her nose onto the grass, one nostril at a time. Then she licked under her nose. I didn't know what she did after that because I had to look away. We got the ball first. Miranda passed it to my friend Victor on the right side, Mary's side. She charged at Victor, screaming for him to get ready to get hurt. Miranda should be telling this next bit. She knows so much more than I do about the game. As I understand soccer, you kick the black and white spotted ball down the field, and the other team kicks it back, and then you kick it back at them, and then at some point the ball goes out of bounds, and you throw it in over your head. I don't know why you throw it over your head, but you do. Then there's a bit of rustle and tussle, and suddenly someone's got a shot on goal. And either the ball goes in the net or it goes wide, and the goalie picks it up and kicks it a long way. And then you do it all again. And at halftime you change ends, and after the game, you change your clothes. Miranda had tried to explain the subtleties of the game to me, but I can't remember any of them. Midfielders and strikers and marking your man, crosses and offsides, she gets really excited. Her blue eyes start to sparkle, and then she tosses her hair off her forehead. Her hands move around. I say, watching her. At game time, I do what I always do. Run up and down the field, and if the ball comes to me, kick it to someone else. Our game against the Cougars looked like all the other games we played, but with one difference. Not obvious at first, but it became clearer and clearer as the game progressed. We, the Commodores, spent much more time than usual on the ground. I watched to make sure. Our goalie kicked the ball upfield to Nick, the nice guy with glasses who likes to draw pictures of aliens. Nick had the ball, and Larry was coming to take it from him. Just as Nick passed the ball away, Larry knocked him down. "Hey," Nick called, getting to his feet. But Victor had the ball now, and Mr. Stern was watching. After Victor kicked the ball away, Gary knocked him down again. "Hey," Victor called, but Mr. Stern missed it. Gary smiled down at Victor, spat, and trotted off, tripping Nick again as he went past. "Hey," Nick called. No question, the Commodores were playing this game from the seat of their pants. Miranda is a wonderful soccer player. She took the loose ball. I love that phrase, loose ball, as if it's usually prim and proper, and now it's had a couple of drinks and let its hair down, away from Larry, and kicked it right between Gary's legs, and then ran around him so fast he fell down trying to trip her. Miranda raced down the sideline, pushing the ball in front of her effortlessly, as fast as I can run without the ball. Her hair flew behind her like a banner. The Cougars all ran after her. I ran too, a safe distance from them. From the other sideline, Miss Gavely was cheering her on. Miranda was almost all the way downfield now. There was a single defender between her and the goal. The rest of the team was closing in. The angle looked wrong for a shot. She glanced over her shoulder and sent the ball looping into the middle of the field. I think that's a cross. Anyway, the ball soared over the heads of the Cougars to land right in front of, you guessed it, me. Just me and the ball. And not too far away, the goalie, Barry. Time stood still. I had plenty of time. I noticed that Barry's socks didn't match. One had stripes around the top and the other one didn't. I knew the Cougars were coming. I knew the Commodores were cheering. I didn't hear them. I could take a deep breath and felt the field rolling under me, as calm and comfortable as an ocean wave. I smiled and drew my foot back for the shot. It was the last time that I smiled for a while. No, I did not fall. I was...
Yes, you did.
Norbert interrupts in a whisper. Did not, I say.
You did so fall. I remember vividly. I was right there.
I didn't fall, I whisper. I was tripped.
You fell. You fell over your own stupid cleats, and you ended up on the ground with your feet wrapped around your ears. I was humiliated.
Norbert, please. Prudence tripped me from behind. The hospital room is quiet except for the snores of my sleeping parents, and me and my nose arguing.
Prudence was across the field. If she tripped you, she'd have to wear size 78 boots.
I don't say anything, but I'm thinking, I did not fall.
Did so,
said Norbert. All right, I admit. Have it your way. I fell down.
You clumsy oaf.
Norbert didn't believe in forgiving and forgetting. Anyway, Prudence ended up with the ball. She kicked it downfield and Miranda couldn't get it back in time, and Gary blasted a shot from about 20 feet out. Dylan is our goalie, and because he takes up the most space. He's 6 inches taller than I am and almost twice as wide. His hair is big and thick like the rest of him. He made a feeble move with his hand. From my position on the ground, it looked like he was waving goodbye. Didn't matter. The ball was already in the net. 1-0. Prudence stared at me as I got up. I could feel her eyes on my back as I trotted ashamedly back to the Commodore's side of the field. I apologized to Miranda, but she told me not to worry. Prudence tripped me, I said. Good try, she said. I wonder if she believed me. The ball was in the center circle. Come on, guys, she said. We'll get them next time. Or we'll get them this time. Mr. Stern blew his whistle and the game went on. Nothing really exciting happened until near the end of the half. They kept knocking us down and we kept saying, hey! Once or twice Mr. Stern noticed and told them to play more cleanly. Once he gave Victor a penalty shot, but Victor missed. They scored again. They almost scored a third time, but by some fluke, Mary's shot went right at Dylan and bounced off him to Nick, who kicked wildly in the exact right direction. The ball flew downfield as if it had wings right over the heads of the Cougars. Everyone stared in blank amazement, as if they expected something other than a soccer ball to be flying through the air, a pig maybe, or a cathedral. Everyone stared up except Miranda. She took off at top speed as soon as the ball left Nick's cleated foot, and when it bounced a couple of times and started to roll, the ball that is, not Nick's foot. Nick's foot is still attached to his leg. She was the closest one to it except for Mary. Mary saw her coming and stuck out her foot, but Miranda leaped over it like a gazelle and took off with the ball toward the Cougars' goal. Seconds later, the ball was in the net and Miranda was jogging back. Once again, time slowed. I saw the look of rage on Prudence's usually impassive face. I saw Mr. Stern put up his hand and blow the whistle to indicate halftime. I saw Gary knock Nick down. Then I noticed my shoelace was undone. Stupid cleats. I bent down to tie it up, and it must have happened then. I heard a cry of pain, and then a collective hey from the Commodores. I looked up. Miranda was rolling on the ground, grabbing her ankle. Prudence stood over her, hands on her hips. Did you see that, sir? Victor ran over to Mr. Stern. Did you see that, sir? Prudence just kicked her right in the ankle. Mr. Stern bustled over, blowing his whistle. What's going on here? By then, I was beside Miranda. Can you get up? I asked her, helping her to her feet. She took a step and almost fell down again. It's sprained, I think, she said. Not too serious. What happened? Mr. Stern told her. I don't know, sir. Something hit my ankle and I fell over. For just a second, Prudence looked surprised. She hadn't expected Miranda to say that. Mary laughed out loud. Gary and Larry snickered to each other. Prudence kicked her. Victor pointed his finger. Nick nodded his head so vigorously that his glasses slipped. Did you see? Mr. Stern asked Miss Gailey, who had hurried over from the sidelines. No, there were too many people in the way. Mr. Stern frowned his gym teacher frown. Well, Prudence, what happened? Prudence stared at him as if he were an insect and she a can of Raid. She fell down. Mary added, her whole darn team's falling down. The whole darn game. Only she didn't say darn. She laughed until she coughed, and then she spat vigorously onto the grass. Watch your language, Mary. Teachers love an issue that they can hang on to. Sure, sure, Mary said and turned away. Miranda hop-jagged across the field. I ran after her. She was steaming, but not at Prudence. She was mad at herself. I might have known she'd try something like this. I should have never let that female dog get so close to me. She said Miranda doesn't ever swear. Why don't you tell Stern that she kicked you in the ankle? He'll believe you, and Prudence will get sent off. What do you call that, a red flag? Red card, she smiled. Her smile was twisted like her ankle. Whatever. Oh, Alan, Miranda likes me, but she's not always sympathetic. What good would that do? I don't want to whine to the teacher because some kid is mean to me. The best thing to do is just beat her. That's what she can't stand. Let's just win the game, Alan. The sun looked up for a second, and the day almost got warm. The other Commodores were milling around helplessly. Even now and then they looked over at us. Mr. Stern was blowing his whistle, ready to start the second half. How do you feel? I asked. Seriously, can you play at all? Seriously, not too good. I can kick a ball, but I can't run after it. And you think we ought to try to win this game against the Cougars without you? Is that the best plan? She nodded wearily. I wondered what the second best plan would be. Without Miranda, we had about as much chance of winning as an ant at a tap dance class. The whistle blew and to the start of the second half. Cougars ball. Mary tapped it across the circle to Larry. And then, without warning, another player made his presence felt.
Look out, Larry!
Shrieked Norbert at the top of his voice. All right, then we'll continue to chapter 7.